just waiting for one or two people. I just want to do a session quickly on the subject of recovery. Um, just recovering from whatever, getting up from whatever. Sure, life at the moment is pretty tricky for a lot of people. It's absolutely tricky. And I'm sure you can attest to that, right? How do I recover? How do I recover? How do I bounce back? Because it's been tough. It's been difficult for a lot of us. It's been quite a headache to just wake up in the morning and to find some sort of inspiration, to find some sort of way. How do I bounce back? So this chat, and maybe you can share it with somebody, because a whole lot of us need to kind of figure out what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's going to happen next, how do I bounce back. You can share it with somebody so that they can understand on what's the way forward. Maybe you can even offer some advice. How do I recover? How do I bounce back? How do I um, get my stuff back? How do I launch an assault or a comeback? Because it's been one of those tough seasons. So I want to talk today about how to recover, because a lot of us have experienced a lot of challenges in life, and it's been a year of sorts. How do I bounce back? We know that the issue of recovery is something that is quite pertinent at the moment. A lot of us are asking ourselves, is the economy going to recover? When somebody's in hospital, are they going to recover? We long to actually hear that somebody has recovered. When somebody's sick, whether it's a virus or whatever it is, or cancer, when you hear that, sure, man, this person is in remission, or this person is recovering quite well, your heart begins to rejoice a bit, to say, sure, I can actually breathe again. Because also one thing I'm realizing is that life has setbacks. It doesn't take you long to realize that 1 minute somebody could be doing extremely well, like extremely well, and all of a sudden just things go belly up, and you are thinking to yourself, what happened? Because I thought I was doing well, I thought I was excelling, I thought I was flowing, and all of a sudden things are just not happening the way that I wanted them to go. So how do I retort? How do I come back? How do I rebut when life just happens? Because one thing I've realized is that life happens, right? So maybe you can offer some advice. I mean, the word recovery is also associated with substance abuse, with drugs. When somebody discovers that, okay, fine, like I need to actually get out of this mess, then they get into what is called a recovery program. So I think for us, we need to get into our own recovery program, to say to us, I believe that 2021 will not be the same as 2020, that things will improve, things will get better. I'm going to get into an action plan. I'm going to get into some sort of a program that's going to get me up again. So today, our conversation will be, what are the concepts, what are the thoughts around this idea of recovery? I'm sure you have seen somebody whose career had really went belly up, who comes back up and bounces back. It's always wonderful to get a comeback story. It's always wonderful to know that life can actually get restored. You can actually bounce back from setbacks that come. So for me, I think it's quite exciting to learn of tools that we can actually implement that get us into a recovery zone. I believe in recovery. I believe that no matter what I've lost in life, no matter the setback, no matter the storm, whether it's in a relationship, your marriage, your company, your business, your position in the corporate sector, whatever it is that you've lost because of how life just works. Because we were talking with somebody yesterday, and we actually agreed on the fact that life is not fair. Life is not fair. And I think for a lot of us, we've had to learn that the hard way. Life is not fair, and I think sometimes it offers us a raw deal, but we need to be able to actually be on offensive and defensive, to say, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to force my way through things. So what is the definition of recovery? A recovery is a return to a normal state of health, of mind, of strength. So I know that life can sap the strength out of you. You find yourself weak because of just how life has projected itself and what life has done to you. So I think, we need to begin to think around, how do I recover? What am I going to do? Because, I need to recover, man. I need to recover. So what is recovery really? Recovery is to repossess. You can say repossess where you are. It's redemption. It's reclaiming. It's retrieval. It's to regain. It's to recuperate. To regain your strength, to regain territory that you've lost, because life can cause us to lose so much. We lose blood, we lose time, we lose desire. So much, man, can get lost in the riffraff of things. So how do I bounce back? As a life coach, I think one of the things that always pleases me is to see people bounce back from whatever that life has done to them. I was talking to somebody a while back, and we were talking about how sometimes it's like in life, certain, a main switch, right? A main switch. It's got all these switches, right? That's why it's called a main switch. But one of them can trip and cause darkness or no power in a plug. You go into a room and it's pitch dark, and sometimes in our lives, certain areas of our lives can be pitch dark because something somewhere in the main switch has gone down. A certain plug has gone down, a certain switch has gone down, and you're like, but how is it possible that this part of my life sucks, yet the other parts of my life seem to be still operational? I'm still breathing, but there's just part of my life that's not adding up and not making sense. And today I want us to really be self-aware and to think deeply about those areas of our lives that deserve attention, and begin to say to ourselves, how do I switch back that switch that has gone off? How do I switch it back? I look at my life. Financially, something is off. So relationally, something is off. Spiritually, something is off. So you look at all these different aspects of your life and you begin to say to yourself, how do I recover? Because I believe that you can put down a strategy so that you can bounce back and find yourself in a place of recovery, and find yourself in a place where what used to be off, what used to not make sense, gets restored. Because at some point there are switches that go off in life, and we need to find out, diagnose what went wrong and how do I make it work. So how do we get into it? Let's begin to talk about the road to recovery, right? The road to recovery. And I'm sure you've seen athletes and how they sometimes miss it, and you find a soccer player who just has a bad season. Because one thing I've learned about life is that it works in seasons and in cycles. It's not linear. Life has never been linear. It will never be linear. It works in cycles. So how do I deal with the cycles of life? How do I deal with bad seasons? Because sometimes there are bad seasons. They're just cold seasons, and you're like, am I ever gonna get this right? So here are a couple of thoughts. Let's get into it. A couple of thoughts around the road to recovery, around resuscitation. Number one, you need to find inspiration. Okay, I think sometimes we don't succeed in life because we just are not inspired. There's no inspiration. You need to find inspiration. Find something that pushes you towards recovery. Find something that says to you, I've done it before, or I can help you get it done. A lot of people that have recovered in life are people that found some source of inspiration, right? Something that said to them, you can do it. you can come back up, whether it's through God, your relationship with God, or just somebody in your family that inspires you, or somebody that you look up to that has been able to recover and make it through a similar circumstance. That's always made a difference. When you find somebody that has made it through it, it helps you, right? It helps you to be able to recover because you've seen this thing happening. It's not something that's impossible. It's something that is so possible. So, number one, find inspiration. Okay? Find inspiration. Find people that have gone out of this thing, man. That have gone through mess ups and flops and bad circumstances and still bounced back and recovered. So find inspiration. Number two, envision. Envision yourself in a better place. Vision is so important. If you can't see yourself in a better space, it will never happen. You need to find yourself thinking about a better direction or getting direction or a vision for your life. If you can't see it, I always use the idea of Dubai to say, if all that sheikh could see was a desert, we would not have Dubai today. Somebody had to envision. So you need to see yourself living a better life, or see yourself having recovered financially, see yourself having recovered in terms of your health, seeing yourself having recovered in terms of your goals. Maybe you've regressed, maybe because of how the last couple of months have gone, so many things have died, but you need to envision yourself in a better space. Okay, I hope you're getting me today. You need to envision yourself in a better space. Okay, see yourself in a better space. So that's envisioning, forward looking, forward thinking. It's so easy to get stuck in the past. It's so easy to get stuck in what coulda, shoulda, woulda, might have. But how about the possibilities of vision? Because when you can see it, then you have something to wake up for every single day, because you've used your imagination to see good. You can't always be using your imagination for the worst case scenario. You need to envision. Somebody say envision. Okay, then the third thing that I think will be important in our road to recovery is to believe. You have to believe. You have to believe that things will get better. How? I don't know how. But we need to learn to be people that believe in what's possible. We need to be the kind of people that believe that things can turn around. We need to be the kind of people that believe in miracles. If you don't have a miracle mentality in life, you are always going to be stuck, because miracles will be flying past you. They will be going past you because you are just not a miraculous person. So believing in miracles is so important. Being a believer in what is impossible being possible is something that is so central to the theme of life. Everybody that has succeeded in life, it happened through time and chance. And if you are not going to believe in the possibilities of miracles happening around you and for you, if you don't believe and have a miracle mentality that one day you might just bump into somebody or bump into a situation that brings out the best out of you, that even in your most worst of cases, you should never cement yourself in a setback. You should never ground yourself. A lot of planes have been grounded. A lot of ships have been stuck at harbor, but that's not what they were created for. An airplane wasn't created to just be on the ground and grounded. A ship wasn't just meant to dock at bay and just sit there. It's meant to set sail. The airplane is meant to fly. You need to believe in those miracles. You need to believe, have faith and hope that there will be a recovery. All that I've lost in life, the time that I've lost, there will be a restoration, because life is for people that are believers. Life is for people that are going to be forceful. But you need to believe, man. You need to believe in recovery. Okay, so that's the third thing. Number 4, you need to have influence. You need to have some sort of influence. A lot of people that have recovered in life have had some sort of influence from somewhere. Without influence, whether it's divine influence, whether it is the influence of voices that just speak to you, where by voices I don't mean like in your head. I'm talking about real people that actually sit with you and pump you with hope, and pump you with inspiration, and pump you with just the confidence that you need to just make it through another season in your life. So it's so key, it's so important to believe. It's so important to have influence. That is why they'll always say to you, go away sometimes and sit down and have a meeting with yourself and find yourself and center yourself again. It's important because you will never, the greatest of musicians, the greatest of artists, the only way they can come up with a song is if they go away sometimes and find influence and find inspiration. They will always tell you, who's your musical influence? And then somebody will tell you, it's this person, that person. Finding that influence, finding that influential person that can come into your life and re-infuse your life with some sort of hope. Somebody that's going to give you action steps. Mentorship sometimes is so important because then it adds that influence into your life. Okay? So mentorship, counseling, sitting down with a life coach and getting somebody to just pump you with hope. That's why people have coaches, so that they can have influence. Musicians, they need influence. They need that. You'll always, they'll always tell you who's your influence, who's mentoring you, who's helping you, and somebody will tell you, these are my musical influences. I know, for example, I listened to a lot of there was a time when I listened to a lot of Marvin Sapp, being a singer, so I used to find so much influence in that and enjoy being influenced. I think sometimes our whole thing of just being too independent, nobody must tell you anything, nobody must speak to you. That's why maybe you're so low in terms of influence and hope and inspiration, because nobody gets to talk to you. But if you have influence, man, if there are people that can influence you. I mean, for my preaching ministry, I've got a pastor, I've got a bishop who speaks into my life. So having those voices, man, is so helpful, because when you're going through challenges, sometimes you just need someone who can influence you in the right way. We know the power of influence, right? Birds of the same feather flock together. That's why you need to be careful of the company that you keep, because that is so central to the theme of life. Having just people that are able to speak sense into you, people that are able to influence you. I always tell people it's so hard to be married to somebody that nobody can get through to. Who's your influence? Who's your influence? I influence myself. Chief, no. No, madam, you need to find influence. I used to draw when I was growing up, and you'd always have to find some sort of an influence, some sort of somebody that's gonna add to who you are, to your originality, but maybe add some skill, add some competence, add some maturity. So there's something powerful about influence that's going to help you in your road of recovery. Find that influence. Find that thing that keeps you going. Find that thing that keeps you going, man. The next thing is, obviously, it goes along with the issue of support. Mr. Shabalala says, yeah, we need to expect it. We need to expect miracles to happen. We should and we must. And so the next thing, obviously, is support. Who's in your support structure? Who are the people that support you? Think about soccer. Soccer is, and any other sport, actually, if there are no supporters, it becomes so boring, man. Somebody has to believe in Arsenal. Okay? Somebody has to believe in Chiefs and Pirates. There have to be supporters. So you need to find supporters. You need to have people around you who are going to speak well to your life, to your future, and to your destiny. Support structures are so important for anybody that's supposed to recover, that needs recovery. You need to just have people that are going to be on your left and your right, or material that's going to be on your left and your right that keeps you going. Those support structures are important. If somebody's depressed, there's something called psychosocial support, which is just people that are around you to give you the mental strength and agility and ability and desire to bounce back. Because that's the other thing. I mean, if you don't have a desire to recover, you won't recover. You need to have a desire. It needs to come from your heart. It needs to come from your heart to say, I want to recover. It's almost like somebody who's a drug addict. If they don't desire to recover, they will never recover. They will never make it. They will never bounce back because there's nothing that inspires them. There's nothing that's pushing them to go ahead and to make it. Sometimes the support structure are for when you are at your weakest, when you're thinking to yourself, man, things will never work out. I'm trying and it's not working. But when you have people that are around you, it's almost like a coach. When a coach is pushing, or a trainer, when a trainer is pushing you in the gym, that thing, that support, that moment is so critical in life. That's why it's important not to find yourself in a cocoon in life. Find yourself in that place in your life where you are so isolated. It's not good, because then the people that are meant to be cheering you on and supporting you have no access to you. So open yourself up to being coached, to being trained, to being taught, to being supported. There are some people that want to be there for you, but if you are not willing for people to be there for you and you are shutting people out, you will never recover. I'm speaking good, right? So it's important for you to actually not shut people out. Don't shut out voices, because yes, you can be tempted. It's very easy to just say, to hell with everybody. I'm just going to try and man it on my own. But life doesn't work like that. You shouldn't shut down people that are around you, because it is those same people that are going to lead you to the next step, which is empowerment. When they speak to you, when God speaks to you, when the voices around you speak to you, they inspire you, they empower you, they enrich you. So shutting people out, shutting God out does not help. Shutting out the voices that are trying to speak to you doesn't help. So empowerment is the next thing. The only way you'll be empowered is by reading, is by speaking, is by getting help, is by getting counsel, is by getting training, is by getting assistance. So education also, it helps you to empower yourself. If you are in an abusive relationship, it is through empowerment that you become a better somebody. If you are even self-abusing, which is possible, then the only way is when you gain power. Because what leads us to a place of loss is to be disempowered, disenfranchised. So when we are empowered, we recover. So you need to get back power. I'm sure you've heard of that thing where somebody was speaking and he's saying, Mayday, Mayday, we need more power, because the airplane was going down and it needed more power. I mean, imagine that you are flying and all of a sudden your engine fails, man. It fails. But what you need is to get the tricks of the trade sometimes. How have people bounced back? Because you are not the only one going through challenges. So, and you probably won't be the last one. So the best way to actually bounce back is to figure out, what have other people been doing all along? How have, to get empowerment, to get into sessions of empowerment where you'll actually learn what to do. From empowerment, then we get into action. You need to be willing to actually fold your sleeves and to use the little ounce of strength that you still have left to put the plan into action. You may have little strength, but sometimes all you need is just that little strength to get things going. So never forget that faith without actions is dead. You can believe all you like till the cows come home. But if you are not going to follow up that faith and that conviction and that believing with corresponding action, nothing is going to happen. I've seen a lot of people believe themselves to a stupor, believe themselves to a pause, believe themselves to, being a pillar of salt, because they just did not want to take the action. Action is what brings change. You need to actually get to that place. If you want change, you got to be willing to fight for it. You got to be willing to take the action steps. that are necessary for it. So I think what's missing sometimes with a lot of our plans and our goals is that willingness and action afterwards to actually, I mean, what's the point of having a script if nobody's going to act it out? It's nice, it can pack there, but without the corresponding action. So the question becomes, how much action have you put into this thing? If you've got all these plans that are amazing, how much have you actually tried to get things done? I was talking to somebody a while back, and one of the things they said is that sometimes perfectionism is one of the reasons why we find ourselves in paralysis. There's something called analysis paralysis, where somebody just overthinks, or is so much into perfection, or is so much into what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? So what if it doesn't work? But at least you try to get yourself out of the mud. Think about a car that is stuck in the mud. If it just does not move, if it doesn't go get help, if the driver doesn't go get help, if another car doesn't come along to get it out, it will never come out of it. It will never come out of that mud. So somebody has to get that dirty work done. And most of the time, if we are not willing to be participants in our own recovery, we will never succeed. If we always want to be in a wheelbarrow state where somebody has to come rescue us without us making the little bit of effort, even if it's to move your finger so that you can show that, look, I'm still willing, man. I'm still willing to do this life thing. I'm still willing to try this life thing out. That is what is important. So how much are you willing to contribute to recovery in your life? It's so important. If somebody is a drug addict, if they are not willing to get into that program and to action the steps that are necessary to recover, they will never recover. If they've already given up and they don't want to try again, and for a lot of us, we've given up. For a lot of us, we are saying, man, maybe that's the end of it. Maybe, my job state is the way it is. My career is at a standstill. Things will never work out. But I want to say to us, man, let's keep our heads locked towards hope. And let's believe in miracles again. Believe in a better tomorrow. And the one thing I've learned about life is that you need to fall 7 times. You may fall 7 times, but you need to get up 8 times, because that's what life is all about. It's about bouncing back. That when you have a setback, don't take a step back, because God is creating your comeback. So that was just my thoughts around the issue of recovery. I want you to take your time to think about what I've spoken about today, that it's important if you are going to actually see recovery in your life. You need to, number one, find inspiration and find something that drives you, the passion, the desire. That's something I had not added to the numbers, but the passion and desire is important. Number 2, envision it. Envision recovery. Envision yourself in that place. And the envisioning is about really discovery, man. Rediscovering yourself. Rediscovering what God is capable of. Rediscovering what you are capable of. It's so important. The next thing is believing, because without believing, you'll never see anything good happening. You have to have faith. You have to just hope for the best. The next thing is influence. You need to have some sort of influence over your life, And then obviously that ties into the issue of support, having support structures in your life, having mentors, having leaders, having friends, colleagues that just believe in your vision, getting out of those toxic cycles and toxic people. I know the word toxic has been overused over the years, but it's true. Toxic people destroy lives. And obviously, when you have the support structure, then you are empowered, and then you are empowered to take action. So I really wish you all the best in your road to recovery. And we are all thinking around the subject of recovery. And I believe that if we keep our eyes and we keep our hearts in the right place, life is full of miracles. Life is full of surprises. But I want you to work like somebody that believes in miracles. Work hard. Work hard like somebody that believes in miracles. Miracles do happen. So you need to really apply yourself like nobody's business so that you can see things recover. So that was just my thought. And this was a live coaching session. If you are interested, you can inbox me. I do personal life coaching for people, but that was just what this was all about, just recovering and bouncing back from any setbacks, because you may be facing setbacks, but you can surely recover, because recovery is possible. Cheers.